How you doing? I'm Darren with Kickin BBQ. If this is your first time to the channel, then welcome. If you've been here before, then welcome back. Today, we are going to be doing something that I have never done before. We are going to be cooking a brisket fat cap up on the new S&S Master Kettle. Now, we are also going to be doing a foil boat, which I've never done before, and I'm really excited to see how it turns out. And actually, I can tell you how it turns out because I have the brisket right here. It looks wonderful. It smells wonderful. It's been resting for about 12 hours now. So let's bring you in, show you how we're gonna prep this up, get the cook done, and then we'll slice into this and see how we did. I cannot wait. Let's get this prepped up right now. All right, so here is the brisket. This started off as a 13.19 pound brisket and shaved quite a bit off, got it down to a manageable size for the Slow and Sear Master Kettle. You can see we have some nice marbling in here. This is a prime brisket I picked up from Sam's Club. Now, to be seasoning this up today, we are going to be using just a simple seasoning. Like I said, this video is to show you that you can cook delicious barbecue on whatever you have. So this is our rub, and this is 1.5 cups of coarse ground pepper, a 1/2 cup of Diamond Crystal Kosher salt, 1/8 cup of garlic, and 1/8 cup of Lowry's, and this is what we end up with. I've used this rub on mini briskets. It is absolutely amazing. It builds a wonderful bark with all the pepper. And this is going to be the bottom side. We're gonna do something I typically don't do, and we're gonna be cooking fat cap up. I've never done this on a kettle before, so we're just gonna give it a try today. So we are gonna be seasoning up the bottom side, which is the meat side first today, so let's do that right now. All right, so now that we have a hefty dose of rub on the bottom, we're just gonna press that in, and don't worry about going too heavy if you follow this rub mixture guide, because it is more pepper than anything else, and you're not gonna oversalt your brisket, and that pepper is going to be what helps us build our bark. So I'm gonna get that all pressed in. We're gonna flip it over, and we're gonna repeat the process on the top side. We're gonna get the top side pressed in. And you'll notice we're not using a binder. I just trimmed this up. It's nice and tacky. I don't really like binders on my brisket. I think it is more of a problem than anything else. Now we are going to get the sides. All right, so there is our brisket all seasoned up and ready to go. At this point, I'm just gonna get it into an aluminum foil pan and get it into the refrigerator and kind of let it dry brine overnight. Tomorrow morning, we're gonna get up, we're gonna get the Slow and Sear Master Kettle fired up for a long day of cooking, and I'm really excited to see how this turns out. I have not cooked a brisket fat cap up on my kettle before, so I'm gonna get this in a foil pan, get it into the refrigerator, and we will see you tomorrow morning. But for you, it's gonna look like this. All right, so it is the next morning. We're gonna get the S&S Master Kettle ready to smoke this brisket. Over here, I have 12 briquettes of charcoal, just Kingsford Blue Bag here. And I'm just gonna take a couple of tumbleweeds and get those shoved down in there, just like that. And then what we're gonna do is we are going to get them lit up. And currently right now I have my bottom vents wide open just so we can get some air up on these coals. We want to get these coals lit, get them established, and then we're going to add more coals. This is probably going to take about 12 to 15 minutes to get these coals established, and then we will add some more to them. But in the meantime, I got some warm water right here, and we are just going to fill up this reservoir just like that. So we got the water pan full, and this is removable. You could bring it in and fill it up, bring it out if you want. It's just easier for me to leave it out here. So that'll help create some moisture inside here while this brisket is going. And yeah, I'm really excited to see how this turns out. I've never cooked fat cap up on a kettle. I've never done the foil boat, which we're gonna be doing today. So a lot of firsts today. We're gonna see how this turns out. I'll bring you back when it's time to add some more coal, add our wood, and get our temperatures dialed in on the S&S Master Kettle. We'll see you in a little bit. All right, so you can see that our coals are starting to ash over here. We got a good established coal bed. Now we're gonna add some more coals to this so we can keep this fire going for pretty much the duration of the cook. We may have to add a little bit towards the end, but I'm not worried about that. So I have a chimney here. I'm just gonna fill it up. All right, now we're just gonna get the grate on there. And I am just gonna leave this up right now. I'm not gonna add the wood until we are close to temperature, but that's easy enough to do. I took a chunk of pecan and just split it up into some little chunks. And actually, you know what? Let's just add it now. I'm gonna put it like so. and we'll get some good smoke rolling for the duration of the cook here. Just one little chunk cut up into small pieces. You don't need to over smoke on these things. This is going to be plenty for this cook. So I'm going to get that closed. All right, so now that we got that closed up, we're going to start bringing this kettle up to temperature slowly. And what we're going to do is we're going to leave the bottom vents open. We're going to get the lid on. And we're going to get the top vents open, and we're just going to let this thing come up slowly. So I'm shooting for between 250 and 300 degrees on this cook. Anything in between there, I'll be happy. I'm not going to be too focused on temperatures. As long as I'm in that 250 to 300, I'm going to be happy. So I'm going to let this thing come up to about 200 degrees, and we're going to start closing our dampers and getting it dialed in. So I'll bring you back when it is time to do that. All right, so we are just coming up over 200 degrees. At this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my lower vents shut down completely. I'm going to close down my smoke hole to about a third of the way open, and I'm going to do the same thing with the vents after we get this brisket on. So let's get it on right now. All right, so here is our brisket going on, and that fits wonderfully. Absolutely perfect, just like that. All right, now at this point, we're gonna get our lid on and get our vent adjusted. And we're gonna close down our intakes to about a third of the way open, just like that. Like I said, I'm looking for between 250 and 300 degrees. I'm not gonna stress out too much about this. This is a new cooker to me. I've never cooked a brisket fat cap up on it, and I've only cooked a handful of briskets on a kettle. So I'm utilizing this as a learning experience, and I'm not gonna drive myself too crazy chasing temps. So third of the way open on the exhaust, a third of the way open on the smoke hole intake. The bottom vents are completely closed. So I am going to let this go for probably 3-4 hours before we even check in on it. Just going to be maintaining temperatures. If I have any issues, I'll bring you back for that. Otherwise, it's just going to let it go for a very long time. All right, guys, before we jump in and check on this brisket, I just want to take a moment to thank the sponsor of today's video, ZBiotics. Look, I had quite the weekend. Ended up going out to the bar, going down to the casino, having some fun, letting loose. And I knew I had to film this brisket video today, so I made sure I had a ZBiotics before I started drinking. The reason why is because I wanted to make sure that today felt just as good as going out yesterday and letting loose and having some fun. And I can't let the day after some fun affect my schedule and getting stuff done. ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic designed by PhD scientists to help you wake up feeling your best after a night of drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, a toxic byproduct is created in your gut, and it is this toxic byproduct, not dehydration, that is responsible for you waking up feeling less than fresh in the morning. ZBiotics is a pre-alcohol drink that produces an enzyme to help break down this toxic byproduct, so you wake up feeling your best. All you have to do is make sure ZBiotics is your first drink of the night, drink responsibly, and you are set. Mixing a water here and there never hurts. Click the link in the description to get 15% off your first order. This is backed by a 100% money back guarantee with no questions asked. Look, I've been working with ZBiotics for a couple years now, and the past few weekends I've had a lot going on. The weather's getting nicer out, so if I know I'm gonna be going out and having some cocktails, I am definitely having a ZBiotics for my first drink of the night. Like I said, I don't have time to feel less than ideal when I go out and enjoy my social life, especially doing these videos, working full time and everything else. So ZBiotics helps me wake up feeling my best. And with ZBiotics, science-backed mornings start here. Let's go ahead and check on this brisket right now. All right, so it has been 4 hours since we got this brisket on, and you can see we have some wonderful bark development here. A little bit of the fat cap popping up. I'm not too worried about that. Everything's looking pretty good. I'm just gonna come through, and any dried edges right here, I'm just gonna spritz. This is just water, no secrets, nothing like that. Just a very simple spritz. A little bit of pooling right here. I'm just going to lift that up, let that run off. Nothing too major here. I'm very happy with how this looks. We still have a good amount of fuel left over. We've been average running at about 250 degrees, getting up to 275 a few times here or there, but
Everything is right where we want it. Still got one piece of wood chunk in there for some nice smoke, as you can see. Just keeping everything dialed in. I am using my fireboard to monitor temperatures from inside the house so I don't have to constantly be out here. But yeah, I mean, this fat is starting to get a little soft. If we're gonna take an internal temperature, we are sitting at 153 degrees right now. So you can see we have some condensation building up on the top of the brisket. We are definitely in the stall. So I'm gonna, if it wants to creep up towards that 300, I'm gonna let it. We're gonna blast through that stall. Once we have the bark where we want it, we'll get it in that foil boat and let it finish off. But so far, so good. Very happy with how this looks. I'm gonna get the lid back on. I'm gonna let it go until we have the bark that we want. I'll bring you back at that point and just let you know what temperature we're at and how long it has been, and then we'll get it wrapped up. See you then. All right, so it has been about 7.5 hours, and you can see we have some wonderful bark on this brisket right here. At this point, I'm just gonna get a quick temperature reading for you guys. Let me bring you in here so you can see it. That is looking very, very nice. And I'm just gonna take a temperature reading right here. We're sitting at about 175 degrees in the thickest part of the flat. And you can see that this fat is starting to get nice and rendered and pillowy and soft. That feels really, really nice. Now at this point, I want to keep building this crunchy bark on top while protecting these edges. So we're going to get this in the house and we are going to wrap it with the foil boat method, which I've never done on a kettle before, but I'm going to show you guys how to do it. There is a correct way on how to do it. So let's get this off, get in the house, and get this wrapped up right now. All right, so we're going to get this brisket wrapped up with the foil boat method. And for that, we're just going to get this brisket dead center here. You can see the bark looks absolutely beautiful on this, and that is what we want to keep maintaining. So I have a little bit of liquid on here from the bottom of that brisket. I'm just going to get that all on there. And then now at this point, we are just going to take and roll this foil away from us. And it's going to feel weird, but it's just going to make life a lot easier here, and you'll see why. All right, so there's our brisket, and you can see we have some nice little handles to get this back out on the cooker. Now at this point, we're just gonna get it back on until it is probe tender. I don't know how long that's gonna be, maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours. I am losing daylight here, so the next time you see this, it will be off the smoker. I will let you know how much longer it's taken and what it's probing at. And then depending on what time this gets done, we might be doing the overnight rest on this, but I'm okay with that because look at that bark. It's gonna make the wait so worth it. So let's get this back out on to the smoker right now. All right, so 10 hours later, here is our brisket. You can see we have some wonderful bark on there, some really nice crunchy bark, and that is what you get from the foil boat method. Now it is about 8:30 in the evening, and I am not going to let this rest down and eat it tonight. Instead, I'm gonna let it rest down to around 150 degrees, and then I'm gonna get it into the warmer and hold it overnight at around 145, 150 degrees. So it's gonna get that nice overnight long rest, and it should end up being a very good brisket. But check out that bark. It looks absolutely amazing. It smells wonderful from the pecan chunks that we used. And yeah, so this is probably gonna take about 2 hours to get down to that 150 degrees, at which time it will go into the warmer overnight, and we will pick back up tomorrow, slice into this, and see how it turned out. So we will see you in the morning. All right, guys, here's that brisket after a 12-hour overnight rest in the warmer. It looks amazing. I can't wait anymore. Let's slice it up and see how we did. The bottom of it feels extremely tender. Loving that. A little bit of liquid left in there. We'll get that dumped all over. And there we go. Check that out. That is a beautiful looking brisket if I have ever seen one. Just look at that. Amazing. All right, so let's get this sliced up. We're just gonna go straight for the money shot right here. That nice crunchy bark. Oh, slicing like absolute butter. Check that out. We have a nice fat render on the fat cap here. That looks amazing. Nice and juicy, just dripping with juice. Oh, let's check out the lean. Yeah, check that out. Juicy. Nice render on this fat cap. It's nice and yellow. It's soft. That looks amazing. Let's slice off a little piece here. That looks absolutely incredible. So juicy, So tender, just pulls apart. Nice little burnt end. Little chippy on top with the serrated blade. I typically don't use a serrated blade on brisket, but that's all right. Another thing for me to learn. Oh, barky, delicious looking. We got a piece of the fatty there. That looks amazing. Nice and juicy, so tender there. Love that. Looks delicious. Check that out. Just like meat jello. I can't wait any longer. Let's jump out and let's do the taste test. All right, guys, it is the absolute moment of truth, and I'm starting off with the burnt end, so let's just do it. Wow, this is one of the best briskets I've ever cooked. That crunchy bark is an absolute game changer from that foil boat. This is so beefy. The salt is on point. It is so tender. I gotta have another one of these burnt ends. Absolutely delicious. All right, we're gonna try a piece of the lean here. Pulls apart nice and easy. Flat is delicious, not dry, moist. Got the smoke from the pecan smoke. That crunchy bark is amazing. Let's go for a piece of the fatty now. All right, guys, this is one of the best briskets I've ever done, hands down, flavor-wise. It's smoky, it's salty, it's tender, it's beefy. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. I could have rendered this seam fat down a little bit more. You can see it's still juicing right here, but overall, I'm very happy with this cook. For this is my first time doing it like this. You know, cooking fat cap up on the kettle, wrapping in the foil boat, the long rest. These are all things I typically don't do. But man, that is absolutely amazing. I'm going for another piece right here. Yeah, this is lights out, and it was very easy. I highly recommend giving this method a try. Definitely one of the best bites of barbecue I've had in a very, very, very long time. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to like, subscribe, ring that bell, stay safe, and we will see you next time.